Hello everyone. Welcome to EduTap's another insightful session of Perspective 360 degree, where we do current affair based answer writing practice in a detailed and structured manner. So if you are an aspirant preparing for exams like RBI, NABARD, etc., then this initiative is definitely going to help you with answer writing practice for the descriptive paper of phase 2. So let us begin with the discussion. And the topic that we have chosen for today is the Reserve Bank of India. And the reason why we have chosen this topic because recently the RBI celebrated its 90th anniversary. I hope my handwriting is legible. A lot of students were facing difficulty to understand my handwriting, so I am trying to improvise it. So RBI recently celebrated its 90th anniversary, which was also addressed by Prime Minister Modi, where he talked about the different achievements of the RBI, praised RBI, and also talked about the different milestones that the RBI has is yet to achieve. So he talked about the economic reliance, then making rupee more acceptable and accessible globally. So different things he addressed in his speech, and that is why we are discussing RBI as a topic today. And also last year in 2023 in the RBI Grade B exam, there was a very straightforward question related to monetary policy, which was a static question, but very straightforward and easy question. So this year also such type of question can be asked, and the since the Reserve Bank is directly mentioned as a part of your syllabus, so this topic becomes important. So I hope this is clear to you. Now, if you are somebody who is new to our Perspective 360 degree initiative, then let me tell you that here, firstly, we give you an expected question, and we are going to discuss this expected question as a part of this session. And once this session is done, you have to write the answer of this expected question in the comment box that will be evaluated by our team within 48 hours. And let me also add that this whole initiative is free of cost. So I hope it is clear to you. Now let us see the expected question for today, which is in light of the recent celebration of the Reserve Bank of India's 90th anniversary, what are the primary functions of RBI within the Indian financial system and economy? So if you are following this initiative regularly, so what is the first step that we follow? The first step is identification of keywords. So which is the keyword in this question? The keyword is the Reserve Bank of India and its primary functions in the Indian financial system and economy. So the question is asking about the primary functions of the economy. So we have to illustrate, we have to elaborate those functions in a systematic manner, which we are going to see in the upcoming slide. So this is our keyword, and the keyword is very straightforwardly mentioned in the question. Now this is the answer blueprint that you need to follow in while writing your answer in the comment box and also in the exam. So you have to divide your answer in the form of introduction, body, and the conclusion. So introduction should be around 10 to 12% of the total word limit. So if your question is of 400 words, if you have to write the answer in the 400 words, then you have to calculate such 12%, which is 48 words. So 48 to 52 words, that's how you have to write your answer. And also the same rule applies to the conclusion, which is of 10 to 12%, and the rest of the word limit should be allocated to the body part, where you have to write your body in the form of different headings, and under it you will write the subheadings, and under these subheadings you will write your relevant points, which have to be substantiated in the form of data, relevant facts, and example. Fine. I hope it is clear to you. So in this question, since there is only one keyword, the question is asking about the functions of the RBI. So there will be only one heading, which is the functions of RBI, and under it there will be different subheadings through which we are going to write our answer. So I hope the blueprint is clear to you. So now let us move on to the next part, which is about breaking down your answer in the form of introduction, body, and the conclusion. In the introduction, you can talk about the context of RBI, because the question is very straightforwardly asking about the RBI's function in the financial system and economy. So what you can do, you can talk about RBI, and in the body part, of course, you will write the function and then the conclusion. We are going to see in a step-by-step manner how we can write it. So before we start the introduction, let us first see very briefly the historical context of RBI, since we are talking about its 90th anniversary. So we have to start from the year 1926, when the young Hilton Commission recommended the establishment of RBI. Then after these recommendations of the Young Hilton Commission in 1927, the RBI bill was introduced in the Legislative Assembly, and then in the 1935, April 1st, 1935, the RBI was established by the Britishers during the colonial period. Then Sir Osborne Smith was the first RBI governor. He was appointed as the first governor of RBI, and in the independent India, Mr. C.D. Deshmukh was the first governor of RBI. So I hope this is clear to you. A short, brief historical context with respect to the RBI. So now let us talk about the introduction. So the Reserve Bank of India, established on 1st April 1935, holds a paramount position as the central banking authority in India. So a basic introduction where we are mentioning the year of its formation, of its establishment, and it is the central banking authority of India. Then we can give some historical context, because the question is asking about the uh, ni- uh, 90th anniversary, the recent 90th anniversary of RBI. So what we can do, we can give some historical context related to it, that it was initially recommended by Hilton Young Commission, and RBI was formed with the statutory banking of RBI Act 1934. So we are giving the historical context and a basic introduction. Then what we can do, we can talk about a brief significance of RBI, and also what we can do, we can create a logical flow between our introduction and the heading of our body, as I usually talk about in all my discussions. That what you have to do, you can put the heading, the function of RBI in function of RBI in Indian economy. And what you are doing here also, you are talking about the RBI's instrumental in shaping the trajectory of Indian economy, and then you are writing out functions of RBI Indian economy. So what you are doing, you are creating a logical flow in your introduction and the body part. This is how you create a logical flow in your answer, and I've talked about it many times. So after once you are done with the introduction, what we can do, we can jump to the body part, where we will talk about the different functions that are performed by the RBI. And let me also tell you that I'm not going to get into the details of these functions, because monetary policy itself is a very lengthy topic. I can take a separate session on monetary policy. So what I will do, I will do some brief discussion regarding the monetary policy, and side by side we will talk about the structuring of how we can structure the answer and write it in a better manner. So let's talk about the first point. So monetary policy, as you would be knowing, that being a central bank, it plays a very important role through monetary policy. So what is the purpose of monetary policy? To control money supply in the economy. And this money supply in the economy through RBI is controlled by using the qualitative tools and the quantitative tools. So quantitative tools can be such as, you must have heard about it in your static portion, such as the repo rate, then the reserve requirements, for example, the CRR, the SLR requirements, all these things, the open market operations, all these things are the quantitative tools of the RBI, which RBI uses in order to control the money supply in the economy. Similarly, there are qualitative tools also, such as the credit regulation system, then the moral suasions. So there are different ways through which RBI controls the money supply in the economy through the monetary policy. So this is the primary function of the RBI, the first function that we can write in our answer. So one thing that I missed in this introduction is that I have not put the subheadings. So what you can do while you are writing your answer in the comment box, you can put the subheadings regarding the qualitative tools and the quantitative tools, and you don't have to define these tools. I mean, you don't have to get into the details of these tools, otherwise you will cross the word limit. What you can do very briefly, you can touch upon these areas that I have written here. The only thing that you have to do is just divide your answers into subheadings so that your answer looks more structured and organized, and this is how you can make your answer better and gain a competitive edge in the exam. The more you will break down your answer, the more you will simplify your answer for the examiner, your score maximization chance will increase. So let us read these lines, just go through it for once. I've explained it. So the Reserve Bank of India is the central bank of India and plays a crucial role in formulating and implementing monetary policy in the country. What I have seen with a lot of answers in the comment box is that what a lot of people do is they just copy paste my lines from the PPT and paste it in the answer, which is a wrong approach. This is not the approach that I would like to suggest. What I would like to see you doing is that I want you to go through these lines, understand these lines, and write these lines in your own words. Type your answers in your own words and try to fit your answer within the word limit. Now, my point is a bit lengthy because I have written in a bit explanatory manner, but you do not have to copy paste these lines. Otherwise, you will naturally cross the word limit. The word limit that I have given for the answer is 400 words. So, what you have to do is you have to optimize according to the word limit and write your answer in a concise manner. So I hope this is clear. So the second point is, pursuant to the amendment to RBI Act 1934, the primary objective of the monetary policy is to maintain price stability while keeping in mind the objective of growth. So in the year 2016, what the government did, government formed the monetary policy committee, and this monetary policy committee is the one that takes decisions regarding the monetary policy in India and controls the money supply in the economy. And this is the point that we are talking about. The last point I've already discussed, which are the qualitative and the quantitative tools with respect to the monetary policy. Now let us move on to the next point, which is regarding the foreign exchange operations. So this is also a topic that can be dealt in a detailed manner. So we will just go through an overview that how RBI perform its monetary exchange operations, that is through devaluation and revaluation. So in the devaluation, what RBI does, it deliberately decreases the value of rupee in the economy, and in opposite to that, the revaluation, it deliberately increases the value of rupee in the economy by controlling the supply of currency. So just a brief overview how RBI is able to do foreign exchange operations, and this is an important function of RBI. Let us go through the slide. So foreign exchange operations are the crucial functions of the RBI, serving to regulate and manage countries' foreign exchange reserves, stabilize the exchange rate of Indian rupee, and ensure the smooth functioning of the foreign exchange market. This line you have to write in a very short manner. I've written it just for the explanation. When you are writing in the answer, I'm again repeating that please ensure that you are following the rule of word limit. Do not copy paste these lines. So the next thing is intervention in the foreign exchange market. RBI intervenes in the foreign exchange market by buying or selling the foreign currencies to influence the supply and demand dynamics. So how it is doing that? Through the revaluation and the devaluation. So this is the approach that RBI follows. And the last point is management of foreign exchange reserve. So you must have heard about the foreign exchange reserve that the countries usually keep in the form of the foreign currencies, then the gold, and the other reserve assets such as the reserve tranche position. You must have heard about it, the foreign exchange reserves. What is the role of foreign exchange reserves? The first role is in order to control the money supply, the sterilization purpose that the RBI performs, and the secondary function is the crisis management in the country. In case of any extreme situation, extreme financial situation, what the RBI can do, RBI can utilize these foreign exchange reserve in order to stabilize the economy. So I hope this point is also clear to you regarding the foreign exchange operation. The third point is regarding financial stability analysis. So RBI also plays very important role in the risk assessment and the crisis management and resolution that we have discussed in the previous point also. Here you will talk about the financial stability analysis, where the RBI's role is to assess the risk, including the credit risk, the market risk, the liquidity risk, operational risk, and the systemic risk. These are the different type of risk that keep on coming in the market, in the economy, and RBI keeps on assessing the risk and keeps on taking the necessary steps and recommends the government regarding the steps that have to be taken in order to stabilize the economy. Then the second is the crisis management and the resolution. So RBI develops the contingency plans and the framework for crisis management and resolution in the event of financial distress of systemic crisis. So here is an example, the financial stability report that is published by RBI. It is an example of the financial stability analysis that is done by the RBI, in which RBI assesses the health of the financial system, identifying the risk and suggests the measures to ensure the stability. So what you have to do in your answer, you have to write these points concisely by fulfilling the criteria of word limit, and then in addition to that you can give just a one short line example of financial stability report. Do not explain this too much. These lines are too much. This I have written just for the sake of explanation. Just mention this keyword precisely, and that is it. You are done with your point. So I hope the approach is clear to you. The next point is the regulatory function of RBI. So what RBI does, RBI frames the regulatory laws or the rules in order to regulate the banks that are there in the country and the financial system. So RBI oversees various regulatory functions to ensure stability and integrity of India's financial system. It regulates banks and NBFCs, supervises payments and settlement systems, manages foreign exchange transactions, and oversees financial markets. Additionally, RBI enforces consumer protection regulation and regulates cooperative banks to safeguard the interest of consumers and maintain stability. So these points are very easy, that RBI regulates the banks, the NBFCs, then it oversees functions related to consumer protection laws, that is the grievance redressal mechanism that are there. We are going to see it in this point. So here you can just mention this keyword. Do not over explain the things. I'm repeating these things again and again because I've seen in a lot of answers in the comment box that people keep on repeating these mistakes in all their answers. They will just copy paste the points and do not care about the word limit. So this is not the approach that I would like you to follow. The last point is, through its regulatory oversights, the RBI promotes transparency, fairness, and efficiency in financial services by mitigating risks to the overall economy. So these are the regulatory functions of the RBI with respect to the banks, NBFC, the consumers, and how it manages the economy through different methods. The next is the supervisory role. Now the difference between the regulatory and the supervisory role is that under the regulatory functions, RBI frames the rules. It gives the guidelines or the rules to the banks and the NBFCs regarding different mechanisms. The supervisory function is that the difference between regulatory and supervisory is that regulatory is regarding the framing of rules. Supervising is to ensure that the rules are getting enforced in a right manner. Why the enforcement is important? In order to maintain the transparency, the integrity of the financial system. I hope my handwriting is legible to you. So it ensures the transparency and integrity in the financial system, and this is the difference between the regulatory function and the supervisory function. I hope it is clear to you. Now let us go through the supervisory function. Let us read it. That RBI performs supervision of banks and payment system for enforcement of rules and regulations to govern the behavior of regulatory institutes, and it includes the on-site inspections, the off-site surveillance, and the risk assessment to evaluate the safety and soundness of financial institution, assessing their capital adequacy, asset quality, and the risk management. So what the point is, that RBI is enforcing the rules in order to govern the institutions, the financial institutions. And how it is doing that? It is doing that through the on-site not infection but inspection, on-site inspection, the off-site surveillance, and through different risk assessments. I hope the point is clear to you. It is an easy point. And another error that I have just noticed in the video is that I have used the template of the previous slide, which was regarding the climate resilience farming. I used the template of that video. So here I have written the wrong heading. So please edit this heading, and I will edit it in the PPT that you are going to see in the Telegram channel. So let us move on to the next point, which is acting as a banker to bank and government. Now I have changed the heading. So I think it's fine. So, acting as a banker to bank and government. So, what RBI plays an important role in another function of RBI, it acts as a banker to the banks and the government banking. What it means is that whenever the banks are in trouble, whenever the banks are facing any type of challenge or regarding the financial assistance, then what they can do, they can approach the RBI, and RBI can help these banks through different mechanisms, such as by giving them loans or the borrowings, or what they can do, it can do the injection of money supply in this bank. So there are different ways through which RBI can help these banks and can act as a lender to last resort. Apart from that, RBI, as we have already discussed, that RBI also does the regulatory and the supervisory functions in order to facilitate the interbank transactions. What do you mean by interbank transactions? Interbank transaction, as the name suggests, interbank transactions means the financial transactions that are happening between two banks, the bank one and bank two. So RBI facilitates these transactions also. So that's how it acts as a banker to banks. The second is the government banking. So RBI also manages central and the state government accounts. It also handles the receipts and the payments, manages the cash balance, and facilitates the government borrowing through issuance of treasury bills and the government securities. So treasury bills are also the short term government security. These are the form of government securities. So these are the different type of mechanisms that are regulated by the RBI by acting as a banker to the banks and the government. So I hope the point is clear to you. The next point is consumer education and the protection. So RBI plays an important role in consumer education and protection, because we know that India is a diverse country, and people of different backgrounds living in both urban parts and the rural parts. And one of the major issue with respect to the banking in India is the financial awareness and financial literacy. So RBI also performs this job in order to make sure that these issues are addressed. And what will happen when these issues are addressed? These issues will promote more financial inclusion in the economy. So RBI makes sure that it keeps on promoting the financial literacy. It keeps on working in the direction of consumer education to enhance the financial literacy and educating consumers on banking services, digital payments, saving, investment, and debt management. Because you would be knowing that a lot of technologies are coming in the banking sector these days. The technologies such as the central bank digital rupee, then related to existing technologies such as UPI and all those things. So the advancement of technology is taking in the banking sector. So what becomes important for the RBI is to make the people, is to make the consumer aware about these technologies, is to make the consumers aware about their different rights, so that they do not become victims of any fraudulent activities and all those things. So that's why the consumer education and the consumer protection is important. Consumer protection with respect to ensuring the transparency and fairness in financial transactions, then the compliance and taking enforcement action to address violations by banks and other financial institutions. Once you will write this point, do not cross the word limit. That's my only request. So once you are done with this point, then you have to write this one line example regarding the integrated ombudsman scheme, fair practices code, and the fraudulent prevention awareness program. So these programs, what these programs do, the objective of this program is to promote consumer education and protection. So if I give you a brief overview regarding this program, so integrated ombudsman scheme, the aim is to act as the grievance redressal mechanism for the consumer, so that whatever complaints that the consumer have regarding any bank, the way the banking services are being conducted in a certain bank, so what they can do, they can lodge a complaint through this scheme, and this scheme acts as a grievance redressal mechanism. The second is the fair practices code. The fair practice code is has been framed by the RBI, and what is it? It is a guideline to the banks. This is the code that all the banks have to follow in India, that ensure the fair practices in the banking system. Again, why? In order to maintain the transparency, work ethic, and integrity in the financial system. So these are the guidelines that are prepared by the RBI and are given to the banks, and banks have to follow these guidelines. The third is the fraud prevention awareness program. So RBI keeps on raising the awareness among the consumer through this awareness program, so that consumers are getting educated with respect to such fraudulent activities. I hope the point is clear to you. The next point is financial inclusion and development. If you do not know what is financial inclusion, I have taken a special session on this topic just few weeks back. You can scroll down in the playlist and you will find a separate video on financial inclusion if you want to understand in detail. So financial inclusion, the aim of the financial inclusion to avail the banking services to the unprivileged and underbanked areas of the country or areas of economy. This is the aim of the financial inclusion and development, and one of the functions of RBI. So how RBI promotes the financial inclusion in the hinterlands, in the rural areas where the banking services are not available? So RBI plays the role of policy formulation, where RBI develops policies and guidelines to enhance access to financial services to underserved and marginalized segments. Then the banking infrastructure, by the expansion of banking infrastructure such as the ATMs, the digital banking channels to reach remote and the rural areas. Then the third is the priority sector lending. Then if you do not know about priority sector lending is a provision availed by the RBI, and this priority sector lending mandates the bank to allocate the specific portion of the lending to priority sectors such as the agriculture, the small businesses, microfinance, for example, the self-help groups, all these areas. So the aim of the priority sector is lending is that, see, one of the goal of the banks is to maximize their profits. So profit maximization is one of the important goals that the banks keep in their mind, the objective that the banks have. So because of these objective, one problem that arises is that banks refrain from opening their branches in the rural areas, because here their profit maximization is low. What banks do, they prefer to open their banks in the urban areas in order to maximize their profit. But what the government wants to ensure the financial inclusion. That's why they have brought this provision of priority sector lending, which mandates a bank that if you are lending a certain proportion of your money, then what you have to do, the banks are mandated that they have to allocate a certain portion of the lending to the priority areas such as the agriculture, small businesses, the microfinance, so that these areas, in these sectors, the financial inclusion can be promoted. So this is the idea behind the priority sector lending. The last point is the financial literacy. RBI conducts the financial literacy programs to educate consumers on banking services, savings, credit, and investment opportunities. I hope the points are clear to you. So even if you want to skip one or two points in order to fulfill the word limit in your answer, that's perfectly fine. The point is that you have to write your answer concise and try to write your answer in a well structured manner. That is the most important thing, that your answer should be well structured, it should be concise, and should be highlighting the important keywords with respect to the answer. So make sure that you follow these things. The ninth point is regarding research, survey, and data dissemination. As you would be knowing that RBI publishes its reports, different reports, and in these reports it talks about the health of economy It talks about the different risks that the economy is facing and all those issues, and so how these issues are highlighted with the help of the research and the survey and the data dissemination that the RBI performs. So the research, RBI conducts research on the various aspects of the economy, financial market, banking sector, to deepen understanding and inform policy decisions. Then the surveys, regarding the surveys to gather data insights on economy and financial conditions. And then the data dissemination through the online portals and the reports publications that the RBI publishes. So again, this point is also lengthy. I've written it for the sake of your information. What you can do is you can consolidate these points in a concise manner and write it accordingly. The next point is okay, wait a second. Here is an example of annual report. RBI prepares annual report which talks about the Indian economy, monetary policy, and the banking sector developments. So this is an example of the RBI's research survey and data dissemination function. The next point is currency management. So as a part of currency management role of RBI, what RBI does, RBI follows clean note policy, and as a part of its clean note policy, what RBI does, RBI ensures the circulation of clean and unsoiled notes in the economy, and it encourages the bank to replace torn, soiled, or mutilated notes to the banking system. So it asks the bank to replace torn, soiled, and mutilated notes in the banking system and replace them with the fresh notes. So what RBI is doing? RBI is ensuring the quality of notes. So whatever notes are there in the economy, whatever money is there in the economy, the qualitative regulation is also regulated by the RBI. That's how RBI performs the currency management through its clean note policy, which means to ensure the circulation of clean notes and unsoiled notes, and whatever torn, soils, and mutilated notes are there in the banking system, RBI encourages bank to replace, to get these notes replaced with the fresh notes. So I hope the point is clear to you. Now let us read the slide also. And the RBI manages currency in India through issuance of currency. RBI issues the currency except the 1 rupee notes and coins which are issued by the Ministry of Finance. So except the 1 rupee notes and coins, the RBI issues the currency notes in India. Then the currency distribution and the quality control of the currency is standard. It sets standards for the design, security, features, and durability of currency. And the withdrawal and destruction, RBI withdraws damaged, soils, and mutilated notes from circulation and replaces them with new ones. So this is regarding the currency management system, and the example is the clean note policy. Let me erase the ink. The clean note policy, which we have already seen. What is clean note policy of the RBI? Now let us talk about the conclusion of our answer, and as we follow our approach on a daily basis, we divide our conclusion into three parts, which is the conclusion starter, then the explanation of starter, and at the end, the way forward. So what is our conclusion starter? In the conclusion starter, we take the stand regarding the agreement or disagreement with what has been asked in the question. So the question is asking about the RBI's function. So what is the agreement we are taking? That RBI is an important institution as far as the nation is concerned. In the nation, RBI plays an important role as a central bank. This is our agreement. We do not disagree with this connotation of RBI. So this is going to be our stand. Now what we are going to do, the second step, we are going to give the explanation of our stand, which is why do we think that RBI is a pivotal institution or an important institution. And the third thing that we are going to see, the way forward, the steps that RBI need to take in order to become a better institution in future. Now let us see how we are going to implement this structure in a conclusion one by one. Firstly, we are going to talk about RBI is crucial as the central bank. What is this? This is an agreement that we are showing. We are rephrasing the thesis that is mentioned in the question, that yes, RBI is a crucial institution. It is RBI is crucial as a central bank in the economy. And why do we think that RBI is a central bank, which is the explanation of the starter? Because it manages monetary policy, banking regulation, and financial stability. So what we did, in a very precise way, in a very short manner, we have explained our starter part and the explanation part. So it is a crucial institution. Why? Because it manages the monetary policy, banking regulation, and the financial stability. Now, what is the way forward? To progress, RBI should embrace innovation, strengthen regulatory framework, and ensure the transparency. What is this? This is our way forward. And in order to stretch our way forward, because I told you that you should prefer to write conclusion in 10 to 12% of the word limit. So in order to extend it a bit, what we can write, by doing so, what will happen if we are able to take these steps, if RBI is able to embrace innovation, regulatory framework, and the transparency. By doing so, it can enforce its role as a cornerstone of India's financial system, safeguarding prosperity and fostering confidence in the economy for years to come. This is how we are writing our conclusion in a structured manner. That now we are done with the conclusion. Now I've taken this additional I've added this one more part to our discussion. What I'm going to do from now onwards is that I'm going to select one or two bad answers that are that have been written in one of our previous answers in the comment section. So we are going to see that what is the scope of improvement in this answer, so that you all get a learning experience how we can improve our answers, and what are the silly mistakes that we do while writing our answers. So I forgot to crop the names, so I do not want anyone to get offended. So when we talk about this answer, then the question was regarding the unemployment as an issue. The question was asking about the challenges of the unemployment and the solutions with respect to it, and also the government measure. This was the question that I had given you, I think, on Wednesday. So this person has written the introduction. The unemployment describe the stage of economic activity where we see an imbalance in handling basic necessities. It is of, firstly, there are spelling mistakes in his answer. Secondly, this answer has no structure. What do you mean by structure? There is no segregation between the introduction, the body, and the conclusion in the answer. There is no flow in the answer. He has not put any form of headings. He has not substantiated his arguments. I had given so much of data in that video from the India economy report, but this answer is totally missing any data or facts. Though he has written the examples with respect to MG Narega, all those things, but what I'm going to do with this answer, he is not writing the challenges with the proper heading, then he is not writing the solutions, and at the end he is also not writing the different schemes that have been given by the government with respect to this unemployment issue. So this answer is incomplete. So here comes the scope of improvement. The scope of improvement is that, I think his name is Shivam. So Shivam, what I want you to do is that you should learn to structure your answer. I think you are a beginner. So since you are a beginner, so it's okay to write bad answers. In fact, I always say that you should feel happy about it, that you are writing bad answers in the practice session and not directly in the exam. So what you can do it, the approach that I want you to follow is, since you are a beginner, so do not worry about the word limit and time limit while writing your answer. What I want you to focus upon is, in the initial phase of the session, I showed you answer blueprint. So what you have to do is, while you are writing your answer, use the introduction that I have given in the video. You can do not copy paste the introduction. By using the introduction means you have to use the introduction, understand the introduction, and write it in your own words. So write the introduction, then practice on writing your body by mentioning the different headings such as the challenges, the issues, oh sorry, the challenges, then the solution, and the scheme by the government, and then the conclusion. Do not put the separate heading for conclusion and introduction. A lot of students are writing a separate heading by highlighting the conclusion. Do not do that. Just give the heading for body and the subheadings under it. So this is the structured methodology, the basic methodology that I would like you to follow at this point of time. Now going to the second answer very briefly. So he has also done the same thing. Though he has mentioned the different points, the heading and subheadings, but what he has done, he has not addressed all the parts of the question. He has not addressed the challenges separately, the solutions and the schemes. He has just mentioned the challenges and then he has written the conclusion. So this is a blunder that a lot of students have been doing in the comment section, and I will be discussing such answers on a regular basis in order to improvise your answer writing skills. And I hope the approach is clear to you, and from next time I will be hiding the names of these aspirants so that nobody gets offended while discussing these answers. And that is it for today. This is the question that we have discussed, and I want you to write the answer in the comment section. And the initiative is free of cost, so utilize the benefit as much as you can. So that is it for today. For the PDF, you can access our Telegram channel. So you can follow our Telegram channel. Here you will get the PDF of this session. And thank you so much and all the best.